What's going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Running Gold Standard podcast. My name is Zach Hernandez, and this afternoon I'm joined by my co-host, Matt Wellen. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm great, man. I got my Tesla Model 3 delivered to me about an hour and a half ago, so I've been messing around with that. It's pretty cool so far. I mean, got to look more into it, of course, but we got to talk 49ers football. You know what I'm saying? We were a little late on the game the other day. We weren't able to make it. Some stuff came up, but we got a lot to talk about because the dress rehearsal game, not the best. Not the best.
It was we'll get into it. Before we do, if you guys are tuning in on Twitter, head over to youtube.com/49ers Hive. Join from there. That way we can see and interact with your comments. If you're commenting on Twitter, we're not ignoring you. We just cannot see it. So obviously, Matt, the 49ers were shut out 17-0 by the Houston Texans. Before we kind of deep dive into it and you know, positionally, what was your kind of overall takeaway from this game?
Sloppy, just sloppy. And, you know, I think that's a big part of that is because a lot of the guys either played a little bit during the second game or not at all. And it was the third game in a 17-day span. Everything was like vanilla. I think the biggest thing that they were trying to do is get some guys just some reps and get out of there with as minimal injuries as possible, keep everybody healthy. For a dress rehearsal, it didn't look good. And just the whole team overall just came out sluggish and flat-footed. If you're looking at who I thought was a superstar, I really didn't see anybody that I'm like, you know, writing home about. I feel like everybody had a deficiency in one way or another. Overall, just kind of a poor performance. But I mean, you know, they have 2.5 weeks now before the start of the regular season. So, I mean, here we are on August 27th. The game was 2 days ago. They're not going to play. Opening day for them is September 11th at Chicago. So they have a lot of time to kind of like beef that up. And now that we're past the preseason, this is now where you start getting it's almost like coming off a bye week, right? You're getting a really long install period. You're actually going to put in your running game, your passing concepts, everything like that to prepare for a real opponent. So, you know, hopefully this was just a bump in the road and it brings them back down to earth. And it's like, hey, we got to go out there like everything matters because now it will.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of main takeaway from preseason is always like, don't put too much into it. The Detroit Lions, and I forget which year, 2008 or whatever, they won every single preseason game and then proceeded to go 0-16. So it's not really that meaningful. Obviously, you want to see meaningful reps out of certain players, especially the younger players, but win or loss, that doesn't really mean anything.
Right.
Trey Lance seems to have, for some reason, come away from this game taking a lot of flack from his overall performance. Mm-hmm. Is that unwarranted?
It's pretty unwarranted in my book. I mean, when the offensive line is going to get you killed every play, I mean, everything was either a rollout by design or he had to scramble. I think he had maybe 2 clean dropbacks where he could have thrown the ball when his back foot hit the ground, you know, and one of them was that shot play to Debo, which was a PI that should have been called. That wasn't. And then the other one was one where he ended up getting flushed. Like he got to the bottom, he could have thrown. But yeah, it's one of those things where you're judging Trey Lance on the 7 of 11 for 40. You're judging him on the stat line, right? You're not judging based off of what was seen. And that offensive line was like bad. Who was Jalen Moore? I saw at least 3 times where like he completely whiffed or got beat like right off the bat. And Trey Lance had no time. The running game didn't get anything going. Like they had nothing for the running backs. This was a situation which if you're judging Trey Lance by this, you have to look at things outside of just dropping back or whatever. People are nitpicking, oh, he did this throw or, oh, he did this or whatever. I know people are saying, oh, he threw it up to Deebo Samuel, you know, when he could have hit Brandon Ayuk. There was some of that on Twitter. Kurt Warner kind of shut that down. And my thing too is because people were like, oh, he threw it and he wasn't even open yet. And it's like, that's how go routes work in the NFL. Like that's how that works. You either, you know, you have to throw it when he's even. So, God, there's a term for it too. Oh, if the wide receiver is even, the wide receiver's leaving. So that's when you throw the deep ball, right? Because you expect your wide receiver to be fast and then run past the guy. And, you know, it just showed me that Deebo Samuel's still not in football shape. Last year's Debo, he would have separated on that. This year's Debo, not so much.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting takeaway. You shared that in the chat after the game, that he looked kind of sluggish and out of shape. I brought this tweet up because I thought it was a perfect example of what you were talking about with the offensive line. Everybody except for the center is losing their battle,
Right.
or lost their battle already. Trey Lance.
I mean, and that's his back foot at the bottom of the drop. Yeah. The running back, look, is holding his hand. He hasn't even cleared. On his route. That's just really bad.
Yeah.
So
it was tough. And a lot of it also had to do with the fact that the Texans played the majority of their starters. It seemed like for at least 3/4 of the game. It didn't look like the Niners played many. So, I mean, the offensive line is tough because it's like we don't know which of these guys will end up being forced to start because the 49ers didn't really address the positions in the offseason. So
right.
We'll see how that shapes out. One of the biggest.
Yeah, but didn't you know they didn't mean to? That's why they couldn't get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo. They didn't even want to upgrade the offensive line. They couldn't have used that 25. Anyway.
I don't get it. I really don't understand that argument. How?
What a weird take, man.
Yeah. Also, the people out there that are like, well, they work for an NFL organization. They know clearly better than what they know, or that better than you would know. These people are also capable of making incorrect decisions. Like, just because they work for an NFL team does not mean that they are above reproach or above questioning in any sort of decision. I mean, Johnny Manziel was drafted. Like, there are obvious mistakes that these
49ers drafted AJ Jenkins in the first round.
Yes. And speaking of bust, they might have another one on their hands. Is it too soon to be worried about Trey Sermon?
No, because here's the thing. Again, we saw offensive line. It's really hard to judge these guys when you're basing it off of like the absolute dog shit offensive line play.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to like? How are you supposed to get? I mean, there's not holes being creative. It's not like Trey Sermon to me doesn't look decisive. There were a couple of runs that he had, I think, on that opening drive that were pretty decent. He made one cut, hit the hole. And he's still working into this was talked about. I can't remember who was talking about it. That I think it was John Lynch had said that, last year Trey Sermon he wanted to bounce things outside like he did in college. And he's realizing, no, everybody's a dude in the NFL and you got to put your foot in the ground and go north and south. And so that's still a process where he's essentially changing his running style. I think he'll get there. I know people are saying, keep Jordan Mason and get rid of Sermon. That's not going to happen. Third round cachet gets you a little bit. And this is only a second year. So I want to see what it looks like with the actual run game installed, what it looks like with Trent Williams out there and the actual starting offensive line and not this patchwork of whatever that was. But I will say this. If any of those O-linemen go down, this team is going to have a real problem on its hands, and it's going to rue the day that it didn't address the position in a matter of fact and an urgent sort of way, which is really weird. Again, they took the Bengals approach of kind of working outside in. They got all these weapons, right? Then they draft their quarterback, and now they're working on offensive linemen. And it's you got to keep Trey Lance healthy. You got to keep those running backs healthy. Probably why they're going to carry so many running backs. They're going to get hit, and they're just going to, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is tough. I will say that he looked like Trey Sermon. Looked like he had his best game yet, but that still doesn't say too much. I'm really interested to see if he is able to survive off of this offseason performance, including the preseason and his draft status, because it seems like that's like what's giving him that little extra oomph over some of the other backs, including Jordan Mason. Yeah. There's a comment here from Melissa. Matt, being the medical guy, do you believe the sprain Oren Burks has really will be ready and in no danger of re-injuring versus the Bears week 1?
I mean, there's always a risk for injury. A sprain, I mean, if it's the most minor of sprains, man, that's still a couple week injury. So, you just hope he doesn't have to play that much.
They're gonna shouldn't.
You're not going to be able to tell until it's time for the Bears. That's going to be that's a true game time decision. Yeah.
Also, we discussed this last week after the Vikings game, where people were saying that there's a legitimate competition for quarterback 2 We both, if I remember correctly, disagreed with that. Did Thursday night change anything of that for you, or is it still Sudfeld most likely?
Yeah, it's still Sudfeld. I mean, listen, Purdy doesn't have the arm. It's clear that what the 49ers are going to try to do is try to get him through waivers to the P squad. That to me makes the most amount of sense for that guy. Again, Sudfeld, pretty safe. He's the $2 million guy versus Mr. Irrelevant that you can cut and re-sign for whatever amount of money you want to. Yeah, I think that I honestly think that the 49ers could go in a better direction for QB2 than either of those guys. I think they're a little lacking right now. So
yeah. Brandon says, did we hear anything about people saying Niners trying to get a deal done on the offensive line? I saw a report from Eric Branch who said that the
Eric
49ers...
Branch said it. But again, they couldn't have used any of that money to go get offensive line. That's clearly not what they wanted to do. Yeah. Even though now you have conflicting rumors saying that they actually are trying to deal for an interior offensive lineman.
So Eric Branch, the SF Chronicle, says the 49ers have recently made trade inquiries to add an interior and offensive lineman, but a deal doesn't appear imminent, according to league sources. And the front five's performance Thursday made it clear why the 49ers have been making calls. Quarterback Trey Lance was steady under pressure while competing 7 of 11 for 49 yards. Projected starters are rookie right guard Spencer Burford, left guard Aaron Banks, center Jake Brendel, Jason Poe from Mercer goes into taking a few snaps of Banks during Tuesday's practice. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it's a lot of speculation and maybe preliminary calls to pick up an offensive lineman or trade for an offensive lineman. Maybe they're hoping somebody gets cut during roster cuts and they're able to scoop them up. But at this point, right, I would imagine who they have is who they're going to roll with.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, unfortunate. I don't know if McGlinchey's going to be ready. We don't know, what the rookies are going to look like against real stiff competition for an entire game. Yeah. Remember, even the guys that are projected to start, the rookies, they only play a few series and then they're pulled. So over the course of a full NFL game where you're getting 10, 11, 12 series, like, that's a lot. That's a lot of snap. I mean, you're looking at 60, 70, 80 snaps sometimes on the offensive line. And, it's degrees, right? The margin for error or, the chance that something happens grows exponentially with those reps. So
if I remember correctly, it was Brad Graham of the SF Niners was talking about how offensive linemen, if not, the most very high up on the list get the most value from a game plan out of any other position because they need to know beforehand kind of what to expect, how to mesh together, how to support each other. And there's none of that in a preseason game. So from what I heard, they get a couple of plays basically thrown out there beforehand.
It's barely game planned. Yeah, it's barely game planned. It's vanilla. It's, and then you have to think about it this way too. As bad as the offensive line has looked, when you get mean Trent Williams out there and you know that he knows what he's doing, man, he's gonna be able to help them adjust mid-game. Yeah. Those are the type of things that you're gonna see. The preseason is basically about, hey, let's run like these couple plays. And again, it's more about getting reps and practicing in it. It's kind of like practice, really. You're building calluses and muscle memory. You're getting reps, whatever. So, I try not to read too much into it, but the strange Lance bashing is so weird. Yeah, I mean, even Grant has kind of Grant does his thing, but even he's just like, oh man, are the 49ers super nervous about Lance already?
Yeah.
It's like, bro.
It's tough. Obviously, a lot of people dislike Grant Cohn. I respect him. He does what he does. He has his shtick, and I appreciate it. He does have the balls to ask the questions that almost no other reporters in the 49ers beat room will. But we said it earlier in the chat. Last year, it was all play the kid. Shanahan knows that Trey Lance would blow Jimmy Garoppolo out of the water, and we're not even to the regular season yet, and now he's already putting out these reports and kind of YouTube videos to gain attention where the 49ers should be very, very hesitant, and here's why. The 49ers are already worried, and here's why. Let's just calm down, man. Let's just calm down. Trey Lance clearly has the talent. Let's just at least get a normal game in before we start panicking.
Yeah, and I mean, to a lesser extent, that's what kind of people are doing with Trey Sermon too. They're like, cut him, get rid of him. He sucks. He's never going to be good. These games don't count, man. How many times have we seen preseason superstars that don't do jack shit in the regular season? Looking at you, Sherfield. I remember it was what was it? Baby AB or little AB or whatever. Yeah, come on.
I mean,
like,
I saw it on Twitter the other day. Like, Brian Hoyer had a hell of a preseason going into his first year with the Niners, and everybody was like, Brian Hoyer reclamation, like he's going to prove everyone wrong. And then what happened? He got benched. Like, it was an ugly year. So preseason, you can take almost nothing from, aside from
for CJ Beathard, bro.
Yeah. That was ugly. That was very ugly. Yeah. While we're talking about the offensive line, though, there is an offensive lineman, former first-round pick, in Alex Leatherwood, who is struggling really badly with the Raiders, and it's looking like he's going to be one of the roster cuts. Should the 49ers be interested in trying to pull like a Laken Tomlinson and saving his career, or is it?
Yes. Anything that they can kick the tires on, they need to, because that's the approach that they, that's the approach that they took with the offensive line with the undrafted free agents.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why are you stopping now? Obviously, you know that it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You might as well,
Melissa says, hell no. Look, it'd be very hard to be worse than what we saw Thursday night. So some of those offensive linemen were just atrocious. And Leatherwood clearly has the talent. He's a first-round pick just of last year. And maybe it's a thing where the Raiders scheme just isn't fitting what he does. So I don't see how it could hurt. Worst case, you bring him in, try him out. Doesn't work out. Okay, cut.
Yeah. I mean, again, but he's probably going to be on a 1-year deal, no guaranteed money. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Kick the tires and then get out.
Yeah. Mayoko tweeted, I asked 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan last night if left guard Aaron Banks, center Jake Brendel, right guard Spencer Burford would start week 1. He answered, we've got 17 days, and we definitely aren't going to assign that stuff tonight. We got a lot more practice to do. So we'll see how it shapes up. I thought Jake Brendel was actually surprisingly good. Maybe I shouldn't say good, but better than I was expecting.
Right.
So for somebody who I don't believe has played much NFL level football at center. Yeah.
Yeah.
I see comments in the chat regarding Jimmy Garoppolo, which I don't think we really want to get into again. Silk 68 says Hasty is also a preseason superstar, but not good enough in regular season.
Or injury prone. I mean, because he's small. So, yeah.
Kyle Shanahan just loves him some Jermichael Hasty. I will say somebody who did impress Thursday night was Samuel Womack, who has continued to impress the entire preseason. He had that one really nice pass breakup in the end zone. It's safe to say he's kind of earned that starting role, or do you think that's a little too soon to say?
As the nickel, probably, yeah. Probably going to be the starter for sure. Womack looks nice. He looks to be in the receiver's pocket just about every time. Maybe a little grabby, but that, again, coming from college where you can grab up until the point where the ball's in the air, that's not a huge surprise for me. And he's probably gonna work on that as he goes. But he's looked shockingly good for where they drafted him. So not bad at all. Yeah,
I'm really impressed with him. I think that he brings so much to the secondary. The 49ers desperately need not only playmakers, but just solid corners in their secondary. They have not had that in a while. And we saw Jason Verrett getting placed on the PUP IR list. Jimmy Ward, unfortunately, is also going to start the year on that list. How much does that concern you with maybe not necessarily Verrett, but Jimmy Ward, arguably the Niners top? Well, it definitely is the top person in the secondary.
Yeah, that means he's going to miss the first 4 games, and that's provided he makes the 53. So that's the contingency. He can return after 4 games if he's on the 53-man roster. If he's not, I'm not sure what's going to happen, but he's going to be on the 53. So, it is a little concerning. I heard a little rumor that there could be a possibility that Jaquiski Tartt gets released by the Eagles. So, I mean, maybe you bring back Jaquiski Tartt if Jimmy Ward's going to be out and you want a guy that knows the system. Obviously not quite the same as what Jimmy Ward does, but familiar enough that it'd probably be, at least interesting to put him back there. I don't know. But you've got to do something, because I don't think that, a starting safety combination of either Tarvarius Moore or George Odom and Talanoa Hufanga is exactly what they were envisioning when the season was beginning.
They also signed veteran Deshaun Gibson, but how much will he bring to the table? Do people really think Jimmy Ward is bad? I don't. Jimmy Ward's good.
Think he's saying losing Jimmy Ward is a huge L.
Okay.
That's what I would assume, because nobody can actually think Jimmy Ward is bad, because he's actually one of the better safeties.
Which is funny, because we talked about this, if not me and you, definitely Mike and I, the career arc of Jimmy Ward has totally gone from like the fans dislike him, they can't stand him, mostly to their defense because he couldn't stay healthy and they didn't feel he was worth that first round pick. And then now he's severely underrated and one of the better safeties in the NFL, and losing him would be a huge loss. It's just funny that that's how it turned out. But hey, I'm glad he's getting his dues. He finally showed up on the NFL's top 100. I think it was like 96 or something like that. So good for him.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on, going back to Thursday night, the receivers, you talked about Debo looking a little out of shape. I know that there's not much to take from it, but what else kind of did you think about the receivers? Willie Snead obviously made that mind-boggling mistake, dropping that touchdown in the back of the end zone to end the game.
Man, I think receivers fine. Again, no time to throw. How are they developing? I think that Debo needs to get in a little bit better shape. I thought Ayuk had a couple of plays where he separated really well. But nothing really to write home about. Again, really hard to judge, man. This was just such a flat performance from everybody. I just wasn't impressed with a lot of things. So that's really going to be, it's hard. It's so hard to judge when they just came out and it's like, man, you guys look crappy right now. Yeah. So, yeah.
I'm sitting there. I'm like,
really
I was looking forward to this game all day. And then I come home after a crazy day at work and this is the shit that I see. Like, come on, man. The Niners can't even give me a touchdown, not even a field goal. Like, come on.
Not even a field goal. Yeah. It's so crazy.
Extremely ugly, but it is what it is, I guess. Who would you, I don't even know how to phrase this question. Is there any surprise cuts that you would imagine will be made that the fans maybe not expect?
It's hard to say because, again, there's a lot of depth. The secondary is probably going to have the most, like a Tariq Castro Fields is going to get cut most likely. I mean, Dante Johnson's probably getting cut again. That dude always gets cut, but he bounces back. I'm sure there will be one surprise in there, at least. The one that I would say is, again, it's hard to judge, but maybe I don't know. It's hard to judge. Every position seems to have like that clear cut, right? Where you expect certain guys to be there. I think Malik Turner makes the team. Things like that, but hard to say at this point. Really, but we don't even have that long to wait, by the way, because they have to cut down to 53 by Tuesday.
Yeah. Joey says, wow, that Brendel only has 70 more snaps at center than Trey has at quarterback. That's insane. That really is insane. 49ers throwback, Jordan Mason and Tyler Kroft will be cut. Why cut Kroft?
Yeah, I think Jordan Mason will be. I think, you know what? I agree with Kroft getting cut too. I just think, listen, Werner came back after not being able to do anything early, and he looked good. And then Dwelly he's been here, Dwelly's been Dwelly. So Tyler Kroft is the Johnny come lately, and those ones are the easiest ones to get rid of. Well, I mean, I haven't really seen a ton out of Tyler Kroft, so
he made a few nice catches Thursday night, but other than that, not much. I was surprised they cut Tanner Hudson, to be honest. I thought he was productive. I thought he could have made a push for tight end 2, and he was one of the first cuts. I'm like, oh, okay, never mind. Clearly, I know nothing. Melissa says Ridgeway or Sosa. Fans are so quick to want to cut Samson Ebicam, maybe because of his contract. I don't know. I thought he's solid. I would be fine keeping him another year.
Yeah.
Croft and Fumagalli, get Ross the hell out of here. This is funny. I like Ross. I think Ross is fine. You said Malik Turner likely makes it, you think?
I think so. Yeah. I think it's going to be Debo, Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, Danny Gray, Ray McLeod, and Malik Turner. Those are going to be the 6 wide receivers.
It's like I would agree with that. I would also be okay if Willie Snead is kept over Malik Turner, but I'm not.
Willie Snead got cut the second he dropped that touchdown.
I know. That's what sucks.
His ass got cut the second he did that.
I was such a big fan of him in
New
Orleans.
Malik Turner actually gives you. Listen, and by the way, Malik Turner also smacked the shit out of that dude on that punt.
Yeah, he did.
So that's where the extra value comes in. Malik Turner's special teams ability is just better than Willie Snead's. So you actually, it's more of like, man, if you're going to be a fringe wide receiver, at least be productive on special teams, and that's why I think Malik Turner is going to make it. Because dude, he popped that dude.
Yeah, it was a nice. Yeah, it was
man,
nice.
That's a wide receiver making that hit.
Yeah. Says I'm having some internet issues. I don't know if that's true.
You're a little blurry.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. My apartment sent out like an email when I was coming back from getting a haircut saying that the internet for our entire complex was down. And I was like, that's weird. I like text Dash. I'm like, is our internet down? She's like, no, it's working. So I don't know what's going on, but we'll continue.
Maybe it will be down at some point. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Mike was supposed to join us pretty soon, so we'll wait for that. But it's like we want to recap this game, but to be honest with you, there's almost nothing that's coming to mind because it was such a shitty performance.
Yeah. I will say this, though. There were some, if you go back and really I want to concentrate on the starters because really the fringe players, like, I don't really care. If they're playing, you're having problems anyway. But to go back to Trey Lance, if you look at the 7 of 11, 49 yards, it doesn't jump out on the stat sheet. But I saw some things that I actually really liked. The one bad throw that he had was to Kittle. He missed that. I mean, it bounced off of Kittle's hands, like fingertips. So it wasn't a big miss. Again, he's missing small. The pass where he scrambled out and kind of like threw a dirt ball in front of Ayuk was actually tipped. So that's why that hit the ground like that. But I thought that the pass to Deebo Samuel up the sideline was a pretty well thrown deep ball. Gave him a chance again, PI. So they didn't call it. The first pass of the game to Juszczyk out on the right side was actually a really nice throw. And then he had a couple where he was under pressure where his short throws, he really did a good job putting touch on the ball to Trey Sermon out in the flat to was it Dwelly or Warner? It was one of the two where he got a nice throw out there to them. There were a couple of things where last year it might not have been that touch pass. It might have been something, a little bit more fireball-y, Again, his poise and his propensity for when he rolls out or he's flushed out of the pocket or, he's under pressure, that when he takes off, he's taking off to reset and throw the ball. I think that that's a very important thing too, because a lot of Justin Fields is, hey, I hit the drop, I'm under pressure, I'm running, A lot of these young quarterbacks do that. Trey is actually looking to process and get down the field. So pretty cool to see. And it gives me hope, that if they can get the offensive line thing sorted out, Shanahan's going to scheme a few of these plays that are just going to be wide open. And I have confidence in those plays that Trey will make the right decision and we'll get some big chunk plays.
Somebody was telling me on Twitter that they feel that Jimmy Garoppolo is better suited to handle a shaky offensive line than Trey Lance. And that's just crazy. Blew my mind. Yeah. I'm like, the less mobile quarterback you think would be better behind a bad offensive line, not the one who can actually move out and extend plays, step up, has the speed to take off. And I agree with you. Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo's pocket awareness is dog shit.
Yeah. It always has been. Sin says, right, look like DPI to me. Trey Lance put that ball.
He had an arm bar on him.
Yeah, he put the ball right in the breadbasket, even with the PI. So it's tough because that should have been called. But
Right.
It was a great throw, nonetheless.
Preseason for the refs too, I guess.
Yeah. Brandon says he wants to mention that they'll be showing the 49ers game mostly every week on playback, and he'll send the link every week so everyone can join the room to watch. So check out Brandon as he does that on playback.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh no, congrats to Brandon for that, man. I'm too up into the game to even be. Yeah. I don't even talk to my wife when the 49ers are playing. I'm like, go away.
Same. I saw a clip yesterday, and I don't want to play it here because it'll be copyrighted, but Ian Rappaport talking that there is no trade partner that exists for Jimmy Garoppolo right now.
Right.
It's looking clear and clear. Yes,
cut, man.
That's the only way, right?
Get cut.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Again, to all the people who say they're going to keep him, dude doesn't even have a playbook. Stop. It's not happening.
Yeah.
He's gone.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
He was quarterback 4 for a reason on the depth chart, the unofficial depth chart. But at this point, it's like Mason Rudolph's generating more trade interest. And I know it's because of the contract. I'm not saying Mason Rudolph is better, but the contract is just this like giant weight tied to Jimmy Garoppolo's ankles. And anytime somebody's trying to help him up, they're like, oh, well, shit, he's going to pull me down with him. I don't want that. So why not as well just get somebody like Mason Rudolph or, I don't know, Tyrod Taylor, who's able to fill those starter roles at a much lower price, especially if you're going to have to give up draft picks for him. So he's likely going to get cut. Throwback says the Niners still want something for him, Matt.
People in hell want ice water.
Yeah. I haven't heard anybody say it better than you. You don't need to win the trade twice. You've already won it once. Just
already won.
Call it.
Get rid of
Thank
him.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, you win $24.5 million to try to upgrade that offensive line.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. Which, again, I don't know how Lombardi can make the argument that it doesn't work like that. It's not Madden. I'm sorry. If a team has more money, they can therefore use that money to spend on positions of need.
And the argument that he was injured, I mean, listen, the trade market was dried up for him the moment that he was injured. So you could cut bait and had $18 million to work with.
Yeah.
So.
Do you really think that it comes down to they know Seattle's going to sign him and they don't want him to get the playbook, learn it, master it, earn their starting role by week 2 and lose to him the home opener?
Yep. That's exactly what I think it is. Yeah. Yeah. Not great.
No, it's not. I can't imagine how that would happen. The Seahawks kind of bread and butter was the deep passing game, which is Jimmy Garoppolo's Achilles heel. So even if he were to get signed by the 49 or by the Seahawks, I can't imagine he's suddenly going to be lighting it up and turn the Seahawks into this winning team. But
yeah,
I don't know. Apparently the 49ers feel differently. I see Jeff Deeney of PFF shares Samuel Womack's preseason grades. Coverage grade of 91.1, 5 targets, 0 catches allowed, 2 interceptions, 1 pass breakup that caused an interception, 1 penalty, and a pass rating allowed of 0.0. Just wanted to share. Pretty impressive.
Good, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, he looks good. He looks like he's going to be a player for them, for sure.
This is funny, Tribe. Rewatch the game today, just as bad as I thought. Rams going to smack us by 50.
I mean, that's like a little.
Yeah.
That's a little out of control. Yeah, but
Silk 68. Even if Jimmy did that, he still wouldn't be good with our defense. Yeah. I can't even imagine this defense finally having the chance to tee off against him without having to tone it back.
Right.
Niners, Warriors. Aaron Donald suspension. He's not going to get suspended. Do you think he'd get suspended?
No.
So I didn't know that the NFL
that happened in practice, man.
Yeah, the NFL apparently has no control over that. Like the teams are the ones. I didn't know that.
Apparently.
That's a trip.
Yeah. It's wild, man.
This is like a very common pattern.
There's a still photo of him hitting somebody with the helmet, and it looks like the helmet is like caved in a little bit, like oval. He swung that thing so hard. It's like, bro.
He does this at least like 3 times a year. sometimes it's in games. Like he's choked players out mid-game.
Yeah.
I remember when the Niners beat the Rams on Monday night, he like took his helmet off and like threw it on the ground all angrily. Like this dude has anger problems, severe anger problems.
He had just been ejected too for
that.
Yeah. For something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but yeah. So
like everybody liked to make Ndamukong Suh the bad boy of the NFL. Meanwhile, Aaron Donald is somehow paraded out there as like the face of the Rams and this tough guy player, but he's a good guy. It's like, no, he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like if we're being honest, he's a great player, but he's kind of a piece of shit. And he does this shit like I said, 3 times a year. He's either choking someone out, swinging a helmet at someone, and that's not just tough football. That's you trying to deliberately hurt someone outside of the game of football. So yeah. Melissa says he took off the Bengals player helmet and dented it when he was swinging at the same player and his teammates trying to protect him. I believe it was Lyle Collins, if I remember correctly, who kind of started the whole issue, and then Aaron Donald took it further. So I don't know. Yeah. Unfortunately, he won't get suspended though, because the teams kind of govern that whole issue. So he should be, but he won't be. Well, I was trying to wait for Mike, but I don't know if he's going to hop on yet. So is there anything else you wanted to cover?
Just that listen, Tuesday's going to be a big cut down day. Tuesday, I think we get the resolution to Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think they're going to carry him up until the Saturday before week 1. They'll catch a ton of heat for that. Cause that's kind of BS to do that. I think you can do a little bit of gamesmanship. I'm not that upset about it. But come on, if you're sitting there and holding on to him until the end of like right before week 1, that's a little petty.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting if they don't move on Jimmy Garoppolo by Tuesday. I wonder if we'll finally see like a call for a release from Jimmy Garoppolo's camp. That's honestly, to me, that's the most interesting aspect of the cut down to 53. Yeah. When is Jimmy Garoppolo finally going to be gone? I think it'll be Tuesday.
When I was on Mike's Patreon show last Wednesday, he played a little clip from Mayoko and him and Jennifer Lee Chan's podcast where he kind of went off against the 49ers for saying like, hey, I can't believe they're actually doing this. Like, it's kind of messed up on their end. Like, I get it's a business and I understand why they're doing it, but Jimmy Garoppolo has kind of done right by them the whole time. And yet they're kind of choosing to hold on to the very last minute just in case. Yeah. And I've never heard Mayoko speak negatively about the team. So I just thought that was interesting. I'm like, I wonder what kind of generated that. Yeah. We have a super chat from 49ers Throwback. Niners better not do something dumb. Get 10 off this team. Yeah. I can't imagine they keep him. I cannot imagine they keep him.
No. There's no way. There's no way. I mean, they would have given him a playbook, Yeah. So we'll
Melissa,
see.
Did you see George Odom was fined $5,000 for uncovered knees, but AD is going to skate scot-free? The league fines and suspension is so damn biased and fucked up. They're really weird about the
bias. It's game versus not game.
Yeah.
Like those practices aren't technically supposed to be televised. It's closed door stuff. So it's different,
And they're really weird about uniforms. They're very specific.
Super weird about uniforms for sure.
Length of socks, like she said, no knees showing. Like there are random rules that these players have to find or follow, or else they'll get fined. And I imagine they're using the preseason to make the point. So suspend Mike for being late. He was supposed to hop on late, so it's not that big of a deal. But he probably got stuck in traffic or something. Yeah, unfortunately, there's just not much to talk about recapping this game. But next week we have a really big show for you guys. We're going to do a deep dive into the whole season. We're going to break down all the roster cuts. So make sure you guys come back for that.
Big one. And we're going to do our, so that'll be next week. And then right before the week 1, we're going to do a big blowout on the Bears game preview. So we got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys.
Yep. But before we go, we got to thank our sponsors.
Yes.
And it starts with Sports Illustrated.
Okay, you do Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated, yeah. So click the link in the bio. Check out this fantastic book, Sports Illustrated, the San Francisco 49ers at 75. It covers the entire history of the San Francisco 49ers. It's a really, really good book, and it's hardcover. You guys can save 30% off now through October. So go check it out. Click the link in the description. Use code 49ers30. Get your copy, your hardcover copy of Sports Illustrated, the San Francisco 49ers at $75. Next, we got to shout out Acre Gold. Matt calls it the gold stamp. It's stamp time. You can now buy gold for as little as $50 a month. You no longer have to fork out hundreds of dollars of gold, $100 to get your gold, $50 a month. Think of it as an investment. Once you reach the market price of 2.5 grams, Acre Gold will discreetly send you a gold bar. Matt calls it a stamp. It's 2.5 grams. Put your money in something that holds value, unlike the dollar, with inflation being crazy right now. Take advantage. Click the link in the description, Acre Gold. It's only right they sponsor the Renegade Gold Standard podcast. And last but not least, got to shout out 49ers great Terrell Owens for 81 Vino. Terrell Owens has made his name in the NFL. Now he's venturing off into the wine business. Click the link in the description, 81vino.com, enter code Hive, and you'll get 10% off your entire purchase and free shipping on 2 or more bottles. Support the 49ers legend, 81 by Terrell Owens. All right, with that all said, we're going to wrap things up here. Matt, you want to take us out?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to thank everybody for being here. Midday Saturday. It's a little bit of a weird timing thing for us. And unfortunately, we got caught up after the game. We couldn't really come in, but thank you so much for joining us, guys. We have a lot of exciting stuff coming your way. Man, it's here. No more preseason. We got cut downs to get through, and then it's time to concentrate. It's time to go on this run. Trey Lance is going to, be out there. He's the guy, and I'm excited for it. And so no matter what happens, I just want to let you guys know that we love having you here. So when
I see Mike is in here.
Mike is in here.
What's going on?
Mike just came in for the end.
I was say, did I make it all the way at the very end? Oh man, I'm sorry, guys. That's all right. I'm sure you guys rock the show and everything, but it is what it is.
It's all good, man. How you doing?
I'm great, man. Just rushing in from work. Literally ran in here, grabbed my stuff, and came outside and damn it, man, I'm gonna miss these. I'm gonna miss it. I walked in from work to a bunch of crises, but
it happens. All right, well, real quick, man, rapid fire. Let's go. What you were happy with, what you were unhappy with the game, and then where you see potential to improve.
Yeah. So first, I think I was the most impressed with special teams. I was probably one of the biggest. Protagonist, antagonist. I don't know what the antagonist is, but I was
protagonist, hero. Antagonist is the villain. So protagonist is the hero of the story. That's the guy that everybody roots for. Antagonist is yeah. Well, but if you're the antagonist of the special teams, you're the villain of the special teams. You're talking shit on them.
Forget all that. I did not like the signing of the Seattle Seahawks special teams coordinator. All right. I thought he hadn't done anything in the last 6 or 7 years, that he was living off of his name and everything. And I will honestly say that I have no problem. I was wrong. Mitch Wisnowski is punting better. Robbie Gould ran out there with all the confidence in the world for that 50-yarder, nailed it with room to spare. They've made definitive decisions right away that Robbie Gould will be the kickoff guy. Robbie Gould will do field goals, and Mitch Wisnowski will solely focus on punts. And then the coverage team. The coverage team was phenomenal. So, I liked everything that I saw from the special teams. That was probably my biggest pro. And one of the things I said that you should probably watch the most, because those are going to be the starters down in and down out most likely. And then some of the negatives, I guess, if I had to name one in particular, I'm not really worried about the offensive line like everyone else is. But I would say Debo and Trey chemistry, maybe. He had the one play where everyone thought Debo got interfered with or whatever. But it was the single high. It was the coverage they wanted. You want to drop back and just, hit your backstop and hit that route. And I would like to see them complete that pass, whether it was underthrown, overthrown, whatever the case is. I want to see them, get that down. And I just want to see the chemistry, which will come with time. So if that's my biggest worry, then we're in good hands.
And as Debo gets in better shape, he'll probably separate a little better.
That part.
All right.
Well, we're going to wrap things up here, Mike. Thanks for joining. I know you said you had a crazy time. I believe you. It's all right. We'll get you on the next one.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for making it. I know you were kind of rushing, so we really appreciate it. Guys, thanks for tuning in. This was kind of, like Matt said, a weirdly timed show, but we wanted to bring you one regardless this weekend. Thanks for tuning in. Hit like, hit subscribe. Mike, I'm sure the fans already know where you're at, but let them know where to find you in case they don't.
Yeah, guys, just right down there. I don't deserve to plug all the other stuff. You guys see the handle right there, Mike Andrews 83. Give me a follow on Twitter. Don't, whatever. I'll be there either way.
All right. Thanks as always for joining us, guys. I know we did this before. We'll catch you on the flip side. So until next time, go Niners.